Imagine you're standing at a line, an invisible line drawn on a map. You step to the left, and you're in one country, step to the right, and you're in another. No wall, no fence, just an idea. Yet this idea can shape economies, start wars, and define identities. Welcome to the fascinating world of borders, those imaginary lines that divide our world into nations, cultures, and sometimes even conflicts. But have you ever stopped to wonder, why do countries have borders in the first place, and how did they come to exist? Let's dive into the untold story of geopolitical boundaries, a story of power, history, and a bit of chaos. To understand borders, we have to rewind thousands of years to a time when humans didn't even have the concept of a country. Back then, territory wasn't divided by lines on a map. Instead, it was defined by natural features, rivers, mountains, and deserts. Think of them as Mother Nature's version of borders. For example, the Nile River wasn't just a water source for ancient Egyptians, it also acted as a natural boundary, separating their civilization from neighboring tribes. Similarly, the towering Himalayas provided a formidable barrier between ancient India and China. But as humans evolved, so did our need to claim space. With the rise of agriculture and settlements, people started fencing off land. Literally, they needed to protect crops, livestock, and eventually entire cities. The first boundaries weren't drawn on maps, they were marked by stone walls, wooden fences, or even armed guards. Fast forward to the age of empires. The Romans, for instance, didn't just conquer land, they organized it. They created administrative regions with clear boundaries. But here's the catch. These borders weren't always physical. They were often just agreements drawn up by powerful rulers. One famous example, the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494. Imagine two superpowers, Spain and Portugal, arguing over who gets to claim the New World. Instead of fighting, they turned to the Pope, who literally drew a line down the middle of the earth. Everything to the west belonged to Spain, and everything to the east went to Portugal. Simple, right? Well, not so much. You see, borders have always been messy. They've been redrawn countless times, often with devastating consequences. Take the Berlin Conference of 1884, where European powers divided Africa into colonies without consulting a single African leader. The result? Arbitrary borders that ignored ethnic and cultural lines, creating tensions that persist to this day. So why do borders matter so much? Well, borders define who belongs and who doesn't. They decide where laws apply, where taxes are collected, and where armies can march. But borders aren't just about control, they're also about identity. Think about it. When you cross into a new country, you often notice changes immediately. The language, the food, even the road signs. Borders can act as a sort of cultural pause button, preserving traditions and ways of life. Yet borders can also divide families, friends, even entire communities. Just look at the Korean Peninsula, where a heavily militarized border splits North and South Korea. It's a stark reminder that borders can unite, but they can also tear apart. Today, the idea of borders is being challenged like never before. In Europe, the Schengen area allows people to travel across multiple countries without a single passport check. Meanwhile, technology is blurring the lines. After all, can you really put a border on the internet? But not all borders are becoming less relevant. In some parts of the world, they're getting stronger. Take the US-Mexico border, where debates over walls and immigration dominate politics, or India and Pakistan, where disputes over borders have led to armed conflicts. Borders today are more than just lines on a map. They're symbols of sovereignty, but also of division. And as our world becomes more interconnected, the question remains, will borders continue to define us, or will they become relics of the past? So the next time you look at a map, remember, every border has a story of power, negotiation, and sometimes conflict. but also a story of identity, culture, and the human need to belong. What do you think? Are borders necessary, or are they holding us back from a more united world? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through the history of borders, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. There's a whole world out there just waiting to be explored.